You finish wrapping the bandage around the Labrador's paw. He licks your hand. His tail thumps happily against the metal table. You smile. Mrs. Carter thanks you, pays the bill, and disappears into the drizzle outside. You flip the sign to closed. The fluorescent lights buzz softly. Your back aches from 12 straight hours on your feet. Then, a violent knock against the glass door. You freeze. A man stands outside, drenched. One arm holds another man upright. The other presses a sweatshirt tight against his stomach. Dark liquid seeps through the fabric. You shake your head. You point down the street. Hospital. 2 blocks. The man doesn't move. Instead, he pulls a revolver from his coat and calmly presses it against the glass. You unlock the door. They crash inside, dragging mud and blood across your spotless tiles. You try explaining. You're a veterinarian. You treat golden retrievers with arthritis. You remove tumors from cats. You deliver puppies. You don't treat gunshot wounds. The man stares at you. Tonight you do. That's when you realize this isn't a request. It's a job interview. You sedate the wounded man using a large animal tranquilizer meant for a 900-pound horse. You calculate the dose carefully. Too little, he wakes up screaming. Too much, his heart stops. You inject. He goes limp. You open cabinets never meant for humans. You grab sutures used for Rottweilers. Stainless steel tools meant for livestock. You work fast. You stop the bleeding. You close him up. The scar will be ugly. But he will live. The gunman leaves $4,000 on your counter. You never saw us. They exit through the back alley. You mop the blood alone. You tell yourself it's over. It isn't. 3 days later, your clinic phone rings at 1:47 a.m. A calm voice says, "You're the vet who doesn't ask questions." You hang up. It rings again. 5,000. You don't answer. It rings a third time. 10. You pause. Your eyes drift to the stack of unpaid bills on your desk. The rent notice. The tuition reminder for your daughter's private school. You unlock the back door. This time it's a woman with a deep knife wound. You stitch her carefully. Cleaner. More confident. She pays in cash. Then more calls come. A mechanic who crushed his fingers in illegal street racing. A nightclub bouncer with cracked ribs. A warehouse worker who fell off scaffolding. Some are criminals. Some are just uninsured. You stop asking. You upgrade your equipment. Stronger surgical lights. Sharper blades. A portable ultrasound machine for livestock. You justify it. You're saving lives. Does it matter who they are? Money stacks up. You open a second hiding place beneath the false bottom of your medication fridge. You start sleeping better. That's the problem. You're comfortable now. That's when they come for you. It's a Wednesday night. You step into the parking lot after closing. Headlights flash on. A black SUV blocks your car. Before you can react, someone grabs you. A hood over your head. Zip ties around your wrists. No gun this time. No threats. Just silence. That's worse. When the hood comes off, you're inside a private medical facility. Not a hospital. Something cleaner. More secret. The equipment is state-of-the-art. Far beyond anything you've ever touched. A man in an expensive gray suit stands before you. You're resourceful, he says. That's rare. Behind glass walls lies a patient on an operating table. Even unconscious, you recognize him. The man who controls the shipping docks. The one politicians deny knowing. The one whose name never appears in headlines, but everyone whispers it. He's dying. Internal hemorrhaging. You tell them you can't do this. The suited man tilts his head. You've done more with less. A guard shifts his weight beside you. Hand near his weapon. You have 2 choices, the suit says. Walk away, or be indispensable. You scrub in. The surgery begins. This isn't like your clinic. This isn't frantic chaos. This is precision. Assistants anticipate your movements. Monitors beep steadily. You work for hours. Clamping arteries. Repairing damage. Transfusing blood. At one point you almost step back. You could let nature take its course. You could free yourself. But then, you think of your daughter. Her science fair. Her graduation next year. The way she still holds your arm when crossing the street. You finish the surgery. He survives. When you remove your gloves, relief never comes. Instead, the glass walls fog white. The doors lock. Your stomach drops. The crime boss opens his eyes. Weak, but aware. You're staying, he whispers. You laugh nervously. You assume it's a joke. It isn't. He gestures toward a small room adjoining the surgical suite. A bed, a desk, shelves filled with advanced medical textbooks. You're wasted in a strip mall clinic. You back toward the door. You explain your life, your daughter, your practice. He nods patiently. She'll be cared for. That sentence chills you more than the gun ever did. You don't understand, you say. I don't belong here.